different set of say different sub actions. Like for example, I want to extend the rope, but at the same time I want to retract the arm. That is quite difficult to achieve with a keyboard. So I want to use some sort of a joystick and try to get it done. But I think it's much easier to try and achieve that with the end result itself. So the idea is to do this as a VR application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the VR tools inside and try to create a version which I can use on my Oculus Quest 2 and try to debug and get this working. So that's what we're going to do. This we are going to bring in the VR toolkit, whatever is required to convert this project into a VR project. The first thing which I'm going to do is actually to go and check on my Unity version. Okay, I want to change this to something of a latest. So 2022 119 is the one. Let me see if there is any other versions which we can install, because I want to do it as in the latest form as possible. So pre-release 2023, LTS 18, 2021 LTS 18 is there. So 2022 to 5 is there. What do we have in our project right now? 2022 1. All right. Okay. So in this case, if we look at it, we have 2023 LTS installed. Let me see if there is any other installs. If there is, then we will install that. 2023 40 LTS. That's pretty much what they have. And then there is no LTS. So I'm going to stick with 2023 LTS just to be safe. Again, for the reason that for people who might see this uh, video and try to do it, make sure to have it at LTS, because LTS is long-term support and most of the things will work, or at least try to work with that version, because the rest of the versions are not that stable, and you won't get support for whatever the sub builds and etc etc. So try to stick with LTS, that way things work as intended. So now, according to the Unity hub, we don't have any more like LTS. So it's basically just uh, 2020.3 is the last LTS which they've done. They haven't done any release in terms of uh, sorry, 2021 318 is the last LTS. Oh, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's install that. Okay, we already have Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm trying to keep it at the latest LTS possible, so that whoever is trying out, they don't have much problem in getting things, because each of these tiny builds, there is quite a lot of change happening. For example, in one of the builds, the options for enabling a certain feature for the XR was placed under a different category. Then they have renamed it in the next sub build. So it's quite hard to follow what is where and all that. So it's better to always stick with a standard version, so you get the idea of it, and then maybe if you upgrade, you can try and figure it out yourself where that is and go ahead with it. All right, so while it is installing, let's look at what we have in hand at the moment, and then we will try bringing in some XR inputs. All right, great. So this is what we have. So let me run it. And so we basically have this the entire crane with a weight attached to it. Now it's all like for testing phase, so it's all temporary. It's not like something which has like the mechanism for collision detection and etc etc. It doesn't have that. It has the basic physics in place. It can actually rotate left, right, and we can see the rope getting simulated. So the rope which you see here is something of a plugin called Philo. It's quite handy and quite easy to work with. So it's you have like options of uh, like there are different styles through which you could pass this rope. So there are different bodies they call it. So there is like point, circle, and attachment kinds. So it's quite interesting. So if you are into cables and simulations, I would totally recommend checking that out. So we have our crane extending out now, and then we can turn left, right. The cable drop action is something which I haven't set yet, I guess. Uh, did I? No, it looks like I haven't added that one yet. Yeah, TG. Aren't I supposed to have that? Okay, so we have that, and yeah, so pretty much the extension and all that. So the idea is this is a simulator for a crane operator certification. It's called CCO. It is a standard. So whatever you see as the layout here is from the manual of CCO. So I went through the manual and I saw the drawings as such. And this is how the layout is. So basically you will have weights here and the crane operators will pick the weight and test it out. This is the testing area, what you see here. And then what we have here is the starting point circle. And over there, so the idea is to pick the weight from here and navigate it through this. You can call it as entrapments, but then yeah, and then you drop it here. Now the thing about these things are these are called poles and they basically have a tennis ball sitting on top. So the idea is to see how accurately you can move this weight till there without touching any of this, because trust me, when I see it from outside, it's like it's not a big deal. But when you sit in this position and then you try to look at things, it's a lot different. And I tried doing it and it's very difficult. See, at this point I really don't know where that arm is. So that is what the whole thing is about. So trying to figure out where the level is and then doing this zigzag motion, the corners, it's like it's going to be pretty challenging for sure. So I can't wait to get the controls and then try this whole thing out. Oh, by the way, this is the maximum. I think you can see it in the shadow. That's the maximum we can extend. Yeah, lift up. So let me show in the another. So that's how it looks. So that's pretty much what we have achieved. So we achieved the rope mechanism. So you can see there is a hook attached to the rope, and the rope is literally like how it will go on the actual machine. It is passing through a pulley, and then it is going to a spool here, which basically has a lot of wires, ropes in it already rolled, and it has a motor attachment. Looks like our Unity Hub installation is almost getting over. So I'm going to close this. I want to wait for that so that I can switch my project to the latest. So what I've done is I've worked it on 2023 40. So I'm going to switch it to 2021. And then we are going to try and bring in. Then we're going to try and bring in XR plugins. It looks like my camera is frozen. Wow. So much for. Oh no. Things are falling apart. Okay, it looks like I'm stuck in a very, very, very weird pose. Okay. My cam is working, but the software crashed. So much for. Let me remove that. Ah. Okay. The Unity is still installing. Meanwhile, let me fix the cam. So we're using something called Find Cam, which enables background removal, which is pretty cool. And the best part is you could actually use your phone as a webcam. That's like pretty neat because now I have an Android phone sitting here, which has better, what do you call, which has better clarity in terms of than compared to any webcam which I have. So my video might go off once in a while. I have to be careful with that. I have a feeling that the moment I get a admin screen notification whether to accept or not, the application crashes. Maybe I can try that out. Let me do control delete. Oh yes, that's the cause. See, my camera is frozen now. And I'm pretty sure my fine cam is also like gone for a toss. Yep, it's not working anymore. So it's got to do something with uh, maybe the admin privileges. So I can try running it as a admin. Okay, let's try that once again. Find cam, but this time let's run it as administrator. Switching on, connect. And these phones, when you add phones, they can work wirelessly also, which is like even better. You can have like multiple cameras at different locations and you could have fun playing with that. Okay, so I'm not gonna play around with it much. I'll probably do it later. So for now, I think things are working fine. We have Unity 2021.3, which is the LTS. Now, let's get back to this. The first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to 2021 3.18 and it is going to ask, do you want to change the version? Do you want to upgrade? And it will also warn you saying some things might not work, but that's totally fine. So I'm going to click on continue because I don't have much in terms of complexity. I don't have many plugins which I use. So this should be fine. Let's see what we have in store. Meanwhile, let me get my device. Okay, so for those of you wondering, this is Oculus Quest 2. Oh yeah, yeah, that's Quest 2. And these are its controllers. So these work like a joystick for me for this case, and it's quite dusty. Let me just dust it up. It's been a while since I used them, so oh boy, things are still upgrading. Whoa. Okay, I don't have power, is it? Interesting. Okay. So looks like the OB rope, which is another plugin for the rope simulation, has some sort of a API change. So it was giving a warning. We'll see what that is about. Okay, so this is not turning on. Let me put it on charge. Okay, so we have our customary problems to deal with. See, the moment you upgrade, there are things which will break instantly, like without even giving you space to think. So the first thing which broke was the OB. Now I'm not using it. I was just trying it out, so I really don't care about this. I can just go ahead and delete it and I'm good to go. But we will be using something bit later in the module, but as of now, we don't have to deal with that problem. So that looks clean. So everything is good to begin with. We don't have any errors. We can run it once also and see how things look. And then we can go. Okay, I can see that the shader didn't work. You see, I can see a cyan color. That means the shader is not active. But that's fine. That's fixable. Not a big deal. It always happens when you upgrade a project. So that's the thing about Unity. Even though things are streamlined, if you are planning to do something complex, I would suggest you to fix your project version to something which you have like LTS, so that you don't get many plugins with like a lot of bugs and stuff, and everything seems to be like working and things are tested with that particular version. Now when people do plugins, what they do is they actually check with the LTS versions only. They don't do any sub versions, because like the name suggests, LTS means long term support, so that's exactly something you want to look out for. So always start a project in LTS. Now, what I did was I wanted to start on LTS. I mean, I actually did start on LTS, but I did it on a 2020 version. So I just upgraded it to 2021 and something broke, but we'll be good. We'll be good. All right. So now let's look at what to do next. The first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the cameras on scene. The reason is the XR cameras, the XR agents, the what do you call as the objects come with a default camera in it. Now, I have like two cameras in the scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to remove them. Okay, this is the camera from the cabin view. So first things first, I'm going to place the XR like sort of outside and get a feeling of how the performance is as such. And then I could probably make it sit inside, then, figure out how to go about things. So as usual, the first thing we do is we go to the package manager and then we will wait for it to refresh. And we are going to bring in a couple of packages. One of them is the XR interaction toolkit. And before that, I think we have to bring in the OpenXR. So let's look for OpenXR. Open ABCDFGHIJKLMNO OpenXR. Yes. So let's bring in the OpenXR. OpenXR is a layer which will enable Unity to communicate with any of the VR device. So it's pretty much like a standard. So that's a layer we need. And then we are bringing Oculus specific package also so that it's a little bit easier. While we wait for it, I think we can look at it's happening. Okay, so now we got the OpenXR installed. Now let's wait for a while. Yeah, so it'll again ask you for, restarts and upgrades and all that. So make sure to give yes, continue, and also remember to make a copy of your project before you start all of this, including upgrading it to your different version, because things can easily break and you won't be able to revert unless and until you have a copy of it. So I just made a zip of whatever I had and then I just did it. If you have a version control system, well and good. I don't really use that. Maybe sometime I'll use it, but to this stage, at this point, a simple zip works. Okay, looks like we got ourselves the Open XR. Now let's look at the next one, which we are going to did I say bring in is the Oculus XR. Let's do that. Okay, that's not much because it's just going to be a layer on top of OpenXR as far as I understand. So that's one more. And the last thing which we're going to bring in is the XR interaction toolkit. Now, this is quite handy because in order for you to have some sort of an interaction with all these controllers, you need to like play around with the script and try to do things like whether this button is pressed, then if the axis is this, then you need to do some calculations and all that. But fortunately, people in Unity, they actually have this package which is the XR interaction toolkit. So you basically get that and you'd be able to do things right out of the box. You just need to include the scripts and you're good to go, which makes the development quite easy and faster. So, yeah, that's it. So, we got all the three in place now. Okay, so let's see if the next thing which we are going to do is obviously bring in the XR element into it. So the way we do it is we go to game object create and then whoa, see again things have changed here. we see XR origin. Right now, XR origin, if you are using a previous version of say the same package or previous version of the same uh, yeah, I would say just package, is that it would be named as XR origin action based, like how it is mentioned action based here. Now here they mentioned XR origin VR. So these are the tiny changes which they make and which impacts, because when you are watching a video and you sort of miss because you try to find that and you don't get that. So this is what it is. We have our XR origin VR set up, but I don't know where it is sitting though. I think it's on top. Oh, there. Okay, let's put at 0, 0, 0 position to begin with. That's going to be at the center of the test area, which is good enough for now. We can later move it to the cabin area and do whatever we want, and also make sure to have it at the base level so that it can, the ground level, so that it can start measuring your height and show accordingly. Cool. So we have this. And if you look at this, you would see there is a left hand control, right hand control. So these are the ones which gets added with the VR, which you see on the side. If you just use XR origin, you might not have these and you would get into trouble because your controllers might not work. All right, so now comes to the interesting part. Let's go to project settings. And then if we go to the XR, there we have to choose for this. Before this, let's go ahead and bring in the Android support. So build settings, we need Android. We need to bring in the Android support. So let's go back to Unity Hub, and here we have this Android build support. Continue. I agree. Now Unity Hub is installing the Android support for 2021.3.18. Now, one thing you need to remember is no matter which version you have, everything has to have its own Android support, or all these packages put together. I have like 2020, which has the Android package installed, but it will not work here. So they have to install it every single time. I hope the Android support doesn't ask me for an admin privilege and then my camera will crash again. I hope that's not going to happen. We'll never know. We'll never know. I'll get some water. Okay. Oh, still installing. Hmm. Almost there. Almost. Wow, I can see the artifacts around my hair. Okay, that's the last one in the entire list, I guess. Android NDK. Now, the thing with Oculus is there are two ways you could run things. One is just stream from your PC directly to the headset. That makes the Quest work like more of a display rather than a VR device as such. So that is okay, but it doesn't give us an idea of how it'll perform actually on the device. So in order for you to do that, you need to make an APA, sorry, you have to create an APK and then upload it on the device and then test it out. That's the actual performance indicator, when you just get your applications developed. So what we're going to do is obviously the second method, because at the end of the day, we want these devices to be a standalone rather than just dependent on the PC, like how HTC Vive is. Now, HTC Vive, you can't use the headset without a PC, whereas the Quest, it's like you can just wear it and use it anywhere you want. That's the beauty of it. But at the same time, the performance is not great because PCs give like quite a lot of PCs have quite a lot of horsepower to do all the calculations and stuff. So these Quest 2 devices, they are basically Android devices. So imagine a phone stuck inside the headset. It's literally like that. So it has its own, processing and all that. So we got to keep it as minimum or minimal as possible. It has to be more efficient. And that's one of the primary reasons why all this, whenever you see the meta videos, you look at it and it feels like it's all like a cartoon character like Avatar, or like, it's very basic in details. Now the reason is not because people are not able to do it or not, they don't have the creativity to do it. It's just purely because of the hardware limitation, because the more load you put on the hardware at this point in time, whatever hardwares we have, they're not capable of handling VR yet. So we need more powerful computers to or tiny mobile chipsets to deal with VR or AR for that matter. And that's the reason why everybody sees them to be like cartoon characters and not like real faces. But the level at which we are going in terms of the gaming, there is a lot of realisticness is what I would say. Things are becoming way far more real in game environment, and it'll take some years, but then we will get there in terms of mobile computing, so that we would be able to use the same quality of graphics in a VR or an AR environment. So looks like our Android installation is complete. Let me just close the hub. Okay, close it. Let's open the build setting once more. There we have Android now, but we have to click on this switch platform. Ignore this message which says Android module not loaded, install with Unity Hub. Unless you reach Unity application, you won't be able to totally understand. Just click on switch platform and let it do its work. Hey Kodres, welcome. Stream. How are you? I hope things are good with you. And how's my new setup? As you've seen versions of my setup. Give it some time for the, yeah. the scripts to finish. Okay, so whoever is watching might find the stream to be little bit laggy because there is quite a bit of processing happening with the camera. So I'll figure out a way to make it, as efficient as possible. But at this stage, it might be a little choppy and my video and audio might not be in sync, but that shouldn't be a problem. It should not be too much. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go to build settings once more to see. Okay, so we have switched the platform. Let's restart the application altogether once also, because the options doesn't seem to show up. Magenta. Huh. ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಸಾப்பிட்டுக்கிறேன் ம் இல்லைம்மா சாவலாமா தப்பில்லையே. Okay, so the application has restarted. We closed it and opened it. Let's go to build settings and we can see all the options which is required to begin with. So we have the player settings and all that. So default device here. So this is where we select the device on which we want to run. But as of now, it doesn't show purely for the reason that I haven't connected it. Mine is it's like completely dead. So I've put it on charge. Yeah, it's still charging. So let's give it some more time. But meanwhile, let's get to the player setting and see what are the changes we need to do. So I am going to do the changes based on what I did last time, and last time was around like say 3-4 months back. So things might have changed. So kindly bear with me if there are some errors. I will try to fix it up. The first thing which we would do is we would obviously choose the Android and choose OpenXR for that. And then you click on this tiny red icon. So you can see that the tab XR. So the first thing is that in the project settings, we go to XR plugin management, click on that. And then since you are already in an Android project, your Android tab would be open. And then choose Open XR here and click on the red icon. Yeah. Now we get a list of things which it is saying. The first thing is that one interaction profile must be added, which we will do in a while. The rest of the things can be fixed by itself. All right, so now the first thing is one of the interaction profiles must be added. So for that, let's go to, hold on, things are loading. Any change you make here, things get a little crazy. uh, okay, so now preset manager, is that the one? No, I sort of forgot where things were. Yeah, so let's click on the edit. Yes. Okay, so in XR plugin management, again, once you're done with that step, you are left with only one option which says at least one interaction profile must be added. So click on edit, which will take you to the OpenXR sub option here on the left, and then it shows you interaction profile. Now you can click on plus and you can choose Oculus touch controller. That is what you call this device as. It's called Oculus Touch. I never knew that for like quite long time, and then I realized touch is basically this. So Oculus Touch controller is this one. So you add a profile of this one and you should be fine with what you have right now. That's pretty much what it is. There is one more step which we need to do, and I don't sort of remember where that is. So let me just try finding it out. It's in player, preset manager. No, there's a place where maybe it should be in input. There is a place where we have to mention saying left controller and right controller profile. So let me just see through. Hmm. Okay. Interaction layers, version control. Okay, maybe not in this, but let me see. So all our errors are cleared any which ways, so that's good. Now let's go to where is that? Sometimes, you tend to forget. YouTube is your best friend, but I'm not going to anyone else's. I'm going to my own channel and I'm going to check with my own video to know which one is the option which I'm missing right now. This is funny. Okay, let's see. Quest 2, UI interaction. Where is the setup, my boy? Uh, First, we have 3D running method types, project settings, and XR
App
app
in
in
Unity.
Unity.
Without
Without
further
further
ado,
ado,
let's get
let's
into
get
the
into the
video.
video. So
So now once we are back to the project, we will find a folder called samples in the project folder. Go ahead and double click that. That will have the XR interaction.
okay,
Let me change the
view
view
a
a
little
little
bit
bit
like
like
that.
that.
Yes.
X
XR interaction toolkit 2.0.1 starter asset. Now Sorry about
we
that
have the
audio.
left controller, right
Okay, so
controller.
let's look at.
Comment
Oh
you
yeah,
would see
that's
I'm doing the
no.
turn, then I'm doing
Okay,
the
so
left control.
bringing in
Click
XR
on the
interaction is fine.
quest,
We have
which
some
are now
settings to be
we
made.
have the action based, and there is another one which is
Yeah.
X, and click on X
Okay.
generated by the script.
Action
Input
based,
action,
input
input
action
action,
manager.
and interaction. There are two ways to
That's it.
drag this.
Aren't I supposed to choose
Click
an
on
option
add
in the
component
setting?
samples. That will have the XR interaction.
Okay, this
Red
is interesting.
color, right
Why do
color,
I remember
continuous
it to
mode.
be
These
like
are all
that?
files with the
Or
quest.
maybe it's
So
a
let's
different
go
video.
ahead and
Let me just
add
see.
everything to the project. So the way to do it is click on.
Let's go back. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Where is it? First up, projects and packages. Yeah, might be this. Okay. Ads. Yes. So let's
Into it,
look at
switch back
we're
to
logging,
Unity
downloading,
register.
importing. There should be a
That's the
configuration which I'm
there'll be an
clearly
just
missing.
under the we just created a project. The open
Like I
X
said, it's been
not finding the
somewhere. Oh
Android
yes,
setting,
I
then you
think we are there.
XR plugin management. There are
XR plugin
sure to
management, we did
that
that.
you might get a red
Open XR, we did
notification.
that.
Just go ahead and click on
All
that and
okay.
choose
Features.
Oculus
Oh,
Touch controller profile.
for OpenXR features.
No,
All right.
XR, which we did for the app
And
for
for
Quest 2.
Android, it
So
is
that XR plugin
Oculus,
management Quest 2.
which I believe we
Because
did.
that's where
We just need to make sure things are looking good. So R code is my channel, and I have videos on how to do quest-based projects. So if you guys are interested, feel free to check it out. All right, so getting back to this, I think I have it all brushed up. Project settings. Okay, so XR plugin management. Uh, let's switch to Oculus, and OpenXR seems to be happening for Windows. So let's do that. And then we click on this, click on edit. This is where we add one more Oculus Touch controller profile. And then, yeah, okay. Okay, things look fine. Now let's go ahead and look at the XR interaction. Now, the XR interaction is, you could find it in a folder called XRI. So this is XR, that's the XR main folder, and this is XRI is XR interaction. So you go to resource, no, XR interaction. Again, I think things have changed here because they don't look like how they used to look. Let's just see what's up with this one. Okay, yeah, things have changed. All right, so we would have this XR interactions as a sample somewhere. Trying to find which one is that. Keys and values, standalone Android. Hmm, things have changed, like I said. So they've upgraded, and now we are clueless. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Go to package manager, look for the packages in project. One thing which I forgot to import is the starter asset. The moment I look at it, I realize it. So the starter asset is the one which we need to import in order to have all the preset scripts in it. So yeah, let's do that. And then I think we'll be back on track. So now let's look at this. So this is how ideally your folder will look. You will have XR, you will have XRI, and XRI will have all the XR interaction scripts. And then there will be a folder called samples. Inside that, you will have the XR interaction sample toolkits. Just go inside the folder. The XRI default is, if I can show you like this, hold on. Okay, so these are the scripts which we have. XRI default input actions is the one which will have all the other data put inside. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Now, there is a huge difference between what we see here and what we have here. Let me just show you that.
Plugin. This is again done. The next step is to go to Pro Settings. Make sure to enable the open time of the video, or we need to update it. XR interaction, XR interaction to backup. But if you are trying to include this in a existing project, then I would suggest you to make a backup and then go ahead with this one. So for now, I'm just going to click on I made a backup. When you're installing the XR plugin man. Okay, so
Right,
now
turn off
that's
this
done.
cookie.
The last one which I would like to install is the just create XR interact on XR plugin management. There are different platforms to which you can build to. By default, you will have Windows, but if you're not finding the Android setting, then you're sure to install the Android packages for Unity, which I'll be sharing in another video and put the link in the description with it. Go ahead and click on OpenXR on the left hand side, and below that you might find the features.
I'm eating an
Click on
apple,
that
so
and
yeah.
choose Oculus
Yeah, that was
and,
a
and
big
click
bite,
on
I realized when
OpenXR
I
on
was
the left
covering
hand
my
side.
mouth.
The OpenXR, the moment click on ahead and click on OpenXR on the left hand side, and below that you might find the features.
Indeed,
Click
right?
on that
Yeah.
and click on it and say fix all.
Once you
Okay, so let's
moment
look
you
at
sure to enable settings,
I'm
make sure
gonna
to
put in the
enable.
audio because yeah. So we have OpenXR there. We already did that. But let me show you a classic difference that the options which you see on this will be entirely different from what we have on the system with the version of 2021 LTS. So that's what troubles the most, especially if you are a beginner, then you might find it difficult to do that. Okay, so these are done. We'll have to move on to the next video, which is the one which I saw previously, which is the project settings and XR origin. Yeah, so this is the one. Um, okay, so XRI default input action. So let's just check this out. This is what we have. And you see how things have changed here. We have like quite a lot of listing here. Snap turn is fine. We have all of that. Continuous move. All of that is fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same. What we're going to do is we are going to choose what are the options we want in our project. So in this project, I want almost all of it. Like I might not need a snap turn where you use the joystick controller, the joystick to turn left, right, and stuff like that. I might not need that. But even then, I'm going to add all of it. So the way I'm going to add it is I'm going to select the continuous move, turn, left controller, right controller, all of this one by one, and click on this button which says add to action based continuous move provider. So I added that. Second one I've added. Let me do it for the rest of it. Right controller, right grab move, snap turn. Okay. Looks like we've added all of it. Now there is one more step which is pending, and let me just see if I can find that out. So we just go to edit, project settings, OpenXR is not showing the features which we saw earlier for some weird reason. It's supposed to show all features, but it's not showing. And for Android, again, it's the same, but we added the touch controller, so it's fine. Um, I still have a feeling I'm missing on something because things are not this easy with XR interaction. Let me tell that there is something which is missing. Something. Let me figure that out. Okay, preset manager. Yes, got it. Preset manager. So in preset manager, what happens is that even though we have added the left controller and right controller like separate, let me just show you here. You see the left controller and right controller. For some weird reason, the Unity doesn't pick that up. So it just detects only one, and things go really haywire. You won't have the second controller working and stuff like that. So what you need to do is you have to go to preset manager, and you see this action based controller. Here you need to mention for the right controller, you have to mention right, and for the left controller you need to mention as left. This is a redundant step. Maybe it might become a redundant step in the future, but at this stage if you don't do this, your controllers will not work. So make sure to do this. This was the step which I was saying that I'm missing. So we got that. All right, so now uh, one thing which I did was I clicked on add open scene in the build setting because there was no scene to actually look at. I think that concludes the bringing in part of the XR interaction or XR on the whole. So this is how you convert a very basic standard project into a XR project. All I did was
First, I removed all the main cameras, whatever cameras you have in the scene, get rid of them because the XR plugin is going to bring in its own camera. And then once you remove those cameras, then you bring in like three plugins. One is XR Interaction, XR OpenXR, and then Oculus if you're doing it for Oculus. And then there are a series of setting changes which I did. Again, if you are doing it on your own and if you want to do it later, then I think uh, you can you can actually see YouTube video. I'll be posting this again because there is a tiny bit of a change here which is specific to Unity 2021. You can just watch that and get it done. So here we are, we have the XR interaction done and we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is to connect it to the device and try to run it and see what we have. Let me get the device. It's interesting. Oh, it's keeping me on center stage. Okay, I never knew it had this feature of center stage where it'll keep tracking me. That's so cool. I like this software. Although it's CPU hogging, it takes like 15% of the CPU just to do what it is doing right now, just to show a webcam. That's a lot, but that's okay. I never thought this would be a nice feature. I just forgot that I have a cable right. Where did the cable go? Oh, there it is. Oh, this is a long cable. You could use a standard cable too. Okay. Okay. That's the Meta logo. I'm just starting the device. It should ask me for a setting of zone. Unfortunately, it's not. I'm changing the floor level. Okay, confirm. Switch to stationary, confirm. All right, this looks decent. What's my battery level? 31%. Okay, decent. All right, so the first thing which I'm going to do is open up our Oculus app to enable the Quest link. Now, what do you mean by Quest link? Is that this enables us to actually view the preview directly from here. And also, what I'm going to do now is do a change in the settings. So let me just open it for you again. So go to File, and then going to Build Settings, make sure that it is an Android tab, and then right here you will see the Run device. You can just choose Oculus Quest 2 if it is connected and configured properly. Then you should be able to see. If you're not able to see, click on Refresh, and that should give you the uh, device to choose. Now I can simply click on build and run, and I should be able to do it with the second method which I talked about, where we build the app, put it on the device, and then run it and test it. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try and run it as it is in the desktop and see if it works. So I'm going to hit play and wait for it to kick in. I'm going to try it once again. Okay, so I can see the movement here. You see, that's because it's from the device, which means the OpenXR and everything else is working as intended. And yes, it is. Wow, I can see things. They look awfully bad without the texture, but okay, what is up with this? Why is it pulling so much? Okay, let me put it like that. There we go. We have, although we have some problem with the controller, as usual, there will be something or the other which will go wrong with the controllers. So let's turn on the other one also and see if there is anything which is interacting. Okay, we got zero interaction with the controllers, so we need to figure out what is happening. Although I can see the controllers outside the application. Alright, so this looks okay. I still feel for a room, for an actual scale, the 3D model seems to be like quite small. So see, that's our crane. I don't know if you guys can see it. You should be able to see it. It's a crane and the weight. All right. Okay, cool. Let's just run this directly on the. Oh, my glass is fogged. Now
the second method I'm going to do is go to build settings and just choose build and run. It's going to ask me for something, so I'm going to put as test and then save. Now what's happening right now is Unity is building it into an Android API which can be run on the device standalone. So it doesn't need any wire connection for it to run like how it is right now. Almost done. The very first time when we run these builds, it takes a while because all the shaders will get processed, but the consequent tests, the consequent builds are like a lot more faster. Oh, it looks like I'm wearing a hat. Well, technically I have a device here. I don't know why this white has been taken out. I actually have a device here. This entire thing is, I have my hand on the device, but only my, you can see, wow, that's that's the device. It's pretty neat actually, but at times it doesn't serve purpose because I want to show this. Yeah, it just goes invisible once I put on my head. So funny, so funny. Nice little hat. Anyways, uh, Okay, looks like it's being copied to the device, which means everything worked out fine, no errors whatsoever. Most of the time, I've not come across any errors as such when it comes to building. So hopefully, you also don't get any like that. Okay, so the way I'm gonna show this is by means of using the developer hub. That's where I could stream what's happening. Uh, what happened to my developer? Huh, MetaQuest Developer Hub. Boy, they keep changing the names. Okay, so we're gonna use this. I'm gonna go to Device Manager, and I'm gonna choose Cast Device. So it's gonna show what I see over here. Hopefully, oh, to give some permissions. Okay, all right. So let's just do this. Oh, okay, yeah, you guys can see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the application. It'll mostly be in unknown sources, my project. This is what it is as a direct application. So it says made with Unity. Oh, that's perfect. Although again, obviously my controllers are not working, but we could see the physics in action. I can see the weight shaking, which means things are working fine. The balls are all sitting on top of the stem, which means that is also good. Um, Although I have my doubts with the level, I can see the engine, the sorry, the truck wheels up in the air. So I don't know if I have gravity enabled for that. So I need to enable that. And yeah, so the biggest problem to deal with in hand is dealing with the controllers. They're not working. So let's try and figure out why they're not working. The moment I wear a headset, my hair gets messy. All right. So now let's let's see why this didn't work. So we have XR interaction manager. We have XR origin in place. Do we have any input system in place? Event system should be fine. Okay. Okay. All right. So it was asking me to replace the event system into something else because we're already using a UI system, which is totally fine. I don't really worry about right now. All right, so we have XR interaction manager, we have XR origin, we have input action manager, but there is an action assets which is missing. Now, did we have this in the previous version? I'm not sure. So let's just check that. In XR origin, you basically have just this. But here we have a separate one called input action manager. Now my understanding is that I could probably use this default input action manager over there, and that should enable the actionable items, right? Or did I miss a step? I could have missed a step. I would have added the script and missed a step for sure. Yeah, let's check. Looks like I did. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, logically we are at the right place right now. Let's go ahead and try this once again, but this time again we are going to debug on the device by means of streaming from the PC. So it's nice for development, but once you're done with the development and you need to check the performance, then you need to really build it up as an app and try it out. Okay, I'm going to make a video on how to run this on the device, because some people might have problem in running this on the device. It streams, it doesn't stream and stuff like that. So I'll probably do that as a separate video some point in time. But at this point, we should be able to see what the interaction that's happening. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, so still our controllers are not working in spite of adding that uh, script. So we need to figure out what's happening. Maybe I missed out on this one. So meta quest support. Let's see if this works. Oculus touch control. The rest of this plugin, the rest of the things look almost. it's not working. Well. Let me see what's happening. Hmm. Okay, so looks like we need to look into this XR interaction documentation. What's new? Multi-graph support, starter prefabs is already there, nothing new. Long motion improvements, changes, okay, guide, installation. Okay. 2022, 1 and later. What's the version we have? 2021.3. Okay. 3.8, 3.18, 3.8 F1 version 3.9. Yeah, this one. Okay. Profile analyzer. Oh, preview packages. Okay. Let's look at some architecture. Let's look at some general setups. An interaction component controls how a game object interacts with the interactor component in the scene. There are multiple types of interactors. One is XR interactor, raycasting, and all that. Okay. To read input from an XR input device, the interaction requires an XR controller component. Select the fold out arrows to expand the hierarchy of XR origin. Select the left hand controller game object. This game object has XR controller action based. If you don't see the reference set for each action, click on preset selection. Okay, so basically I need to go to this rollout, left controller, left hand controller game object. This is an XR rollout action based component. Yes, it has. If you don't see reference set to each action, if you don't see the references set for each action, click the preset selector slider icon. Where is the preset? Oh, this one. Oh, like that. The right hand, this. Okay, this is something I really want to talk about in some video, that how bringing in the XR interaction toolkit first, even before you add the XR origin, is important. I'll probably talk about this. This will solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. Okay. Okay, so now it looks like we got both the controllers working. Yay, drum roll. So basically, there is not much difference from what we had earlier. There is a very tiny bit of a change between the 2020 LTS and what we are doing with 2021. So I'm going to put up a video on that, and also some common mistakes which people do while doing this, bringing in this packages, which will come in handy. So now I don't think I have any action as such, but yep, this is good, this is good, this is good. We can move on to the cabin view now. So I'm going to place the camera inside the cabin so that we have some view to control stuff. Let's put the XR origin somewhere else. Our XR origin is going to be inside the S6 cabin. Okay, now let's look at the camera view once. Scene, let's put it somewhere where we can see properly. Okay, now XR origin is going to be positioned right here somewhere. Okay, it's gonna be up. We're almost inside the cabin. Maybe we can put a 0 or a minus 180 to rotate it. This is perfect. But I hope that this does justification in terms of the view for the user. There's yeah, that looks almost correct. Let's run this once again and see how it looks from inside the cabin. Whoa, what am I looking at? Oh, that's tall. Okay, that's that's some huge seats we've got. Huge. Do I need to scale it down? I don't know, but this feels very, very tall. How high am I? Whoa. I think I'm too tall. See, not too tall. I'm like sitting quite high. Okay. Let's see if we can control it. Oh, there it goes. And let's bring in some dizziness. Now this thing will not work because obviously I'm not attached to it. Okay. don't know. I'm not sure if this is a proper proportion. I've never sat in a crane, so I have no idea how it'll look from that view. But I am hoping this is ideal. Um, oh, I really wish I could sit in a crane and see how it feels so that I can do some changes. Let's put it like that and a little bit back. I think this will work. Now the problem is I didn't drop it in S6, rather I dropped it outside S6. So now this should give us the movement which we are looking for. Oh, let me enable the developer view so that you guys can also see it. Let me cast it. Okay. Okay. Whoa, that looks cool. Okay, the control looks good. The seats look a little big. Is that how it's supposed to be? I don't know. Um, is that seat too big? Maybe the crane needs to be a little small. But the joystick will become, yeah, joystick is, oh, the buttons are too big. Okay, so the crane needs to be small. That's for sure. Let's scale it down. Let's scale it down in live itself. So the crane needs to scale down. Okay, things are going crazy, but I don't care. I want to see the proportion. Okay, this is perfect. This is. Is it perfect? I don't know. Is it? Looks like I'm flying. Ooh. I think it needs to be even more smaller because back of my head just to look so the buttons are still big. You can scale down even more. Let's scale it down even more. Let's see if this works. Okay, this looks good. Oh, I'm on a flight, a flying crane. All right, so I think this looks fine. Yeah, this is a size I can work with. Let's see what the size is and let's bring it up to, let's bring down, it's 0.09, 0.90. Okay. All right, let's bring it down to 0.90, 0.90, 0.90. Okay, this is good enough size. And I think the crane is not having any gravity, so let's check that out. Yep, see, use gravity. Okay, this should work. um, Weights and all that is fine. Let's just run it once and see. Okay, that looks good. The controls are fine. Okay. So I thought this will have like two controllers, but surprisingly this has only one controller on the left, which I have no clue how it is gonna work. I have some couple of buttons, but this looks good. This looks good. Let's just play with it in here. Okay, now let's rotate and see if this goes along with the camera. Yes, that's perfect. Oh, this is so cool. So cool. Let's lift it up. Oh, yes. Oh, I can see the sun. I can see the action. It's quite nice. Oh, so this gives me the full view. Wow. This is crazy. Okay, so we are almost 180 degrees. So if I want to drop, I can just drop it on the driver's head if I wish, if he's bothering me too much. So that's the maximum I can go because of the cable. But